We're now in the garden because we have to prepare for the recipe of today some herbs. And Gennaro is picking sage. And then we need rosemary. Rosemary for the recipe. So it is actually Gennaro preparing a bouquet of herbs. This is see, a little bouquet of flowers for me today and for you. Sage and rosemary fresh. And now we're going back to the kitchen. Welcome to Mama Agata Cooking School new recipe today. We're going to do ossobuco and risotto alla Milanese. So now we're going to see first all the ingredients that we need for the recipe. Okay, let's start. First, we need, of course, ossobuco and a small bouquet of herbs, rosemary and sage. We need then a brunoise of vegetables. So we need onion or shallot, celery and carrots. Then we need butter for tomato puree. We are using Mama Agata tomato puree, extra virgin olive oil, Mediterranean fine sea salt, a great wine, because we're using Terra del Principe wine, white wine, Le Serre, 00 flour, gremolata. Gremolata is chopped of parsley, garlic and lemon zest, and a beautiful broth with carrots, celery and shallot. Now important is to carve the meat to keep it from curling. So carve it all around the ossobuco. Once you carved the meat, pass the ossobuco in 00 flour. Pour some beautiful virgin or extra virgin olive oil, because what we have to do now is to put the ossobuco in the pan and seal the meat, so that when we are cooking later, the meat doesn't release the juice, so keeps all the flavor inside. So beautiful extra virgin olive oil. Now Gennaro is grabbing the ossobuco. The oil now reached the temperature, so we're going to add the ossobuco in the pan to seal the meat. Make sure that you seal the ossobuco both sides. See, now it's nice brown. Once you seal brown beautifully all the ossobuco, remove them from the pan. Now in the pan, pour some beautiful extra virgin olive oil, butter, unsalted. We're using the brunoise. So the shallot or onion, the carrots and the celery. And cook. Place the ossobuco on the top of the vegetables to pour a nice glass of great white wine. Don't use house wine. Gennaro is not only a chef but also a sommelier, and he always says it doesn't exist a house wine. Let the apple steam away, and you can add some beautiful tomato puree. Try to use a nice tomato puree, balanced with no acidity. To pour some beautiful vegetable broth on top of the ossobuco. After you pour the tomato puree, the broth, add the bouquet of herbs that we previously picked in the garden. Sea salt. We're using fine sea salt. And very important, now cover the pan. 1 hour after, look how beautiful are the ossobuco, cooked slowly, nicely. Welcome to Mama Agata Cooking School. Today a new recipe, risotto alla Milanese con ossobuco. The ingredients for a beautiful risotto alla Milanese: Rice cannaroli, a beautiful vegetable broth. Saffron in two different ways, in powder and in pistils. Butter. Parmigiano Reggiano, 24 months aged. Great wine. We're using white wine from La Terra del Principe. Our extra virgin olive oil and Mediterranean sea salt. Fine sea salt. And now we're starting the risotto. If you see in the pan, there is no oil and no butter. There are many different ways of making a good risotto and many different versions from chefs all around the world. Gennaro doesn't start the risotto alla Milanese with any butter or olive oil and no onion, because this risotto alla Milanese will have many flavor after. We will add saffron and we will combine with Ossubuco. So we start absolutely with nothing in the pan. But what Gennaro is doing now is toasting the rice to seal the rice. So just a few minutes. So what Gennaro is doing now, he's toasting the rice. This is a very important step because doing this, the rice will not release too much starch when you cook with the broth. And now time to pour a nice glass of white wine on the rice. And now adjust with 2 pinches of salt. Please do not add too much salt. We're using Mediterranean fancy salt, because then at the end we are going to finish the risotto. It's called mantecatura with Parmigiano Reggiano, which is salty. And you can always add salt at the end if it's not too salty enough. Okay, so add slowly the broth, and when the broth reduces, you add more. This is for about 17 minutes in total. And now start to add the saffron, the pestils and the saffron in powder. Piano piano, you will see now the risotto will turn into a beautiful yellow color. Don't waste any of the saffron. About 15 minutes, the risotto is cooking. See, beautiful yellow from the saffron. Now turn off the flame and start the mantecatura. Mantecatura is for the risotto a stage that you do at the end of the flame, and we are adding butter and extra virgin olive oil. So we didn't use it at the beginning, we are using it at the end. And you have to make the wave. It's called the risotto must have the wave, so must move like the wave. Piano piano. Let the butter melt. If necessary, you add some broth, but important is that you have the flame off. And we are also then adding Parmigiano Reggiano, but this beautiful Parmigiano Reggiano, 24 months aged, always on flame off, and mix together. Stir nicely. Beautiful risotto alla Milanese. Look at that. This is very important for a risotto, the mantecatura. Again, Gennaro is adding a bit of broth. Stirring. The wave is coming, eh? The wave is there. It's moving like a wave. Here you are, eccola, voila, this is the wave. When the risotto moves like a wave by the sea, you know. Eccolo qua, the wave is ready. And to finish, a nice, beautiful quantity of Parmigiano Reggiano, and buon appetito.